Hello, dear friend, dear brother, or dear sister. We are back again, meeting in our fifth video of this series, in which I'm trying to explain that can you reach a state which is absolute happiness or unconditional happiness. So this video is given the name or the title that can you bring your karma to an end. So this is interesting, right? Because look at it, if your personal karma actually came to an end, then what is left then, right? If your karma comes to an end, then you have attained, or you'll consciously live in the state of unconditional happiness, that which is not conditioned by external constraints. Or is it that that is the end of your personal desires? It's very funny actually. When you look at it from one perspective, you never had any karma and you are actually free of karma. And then when you look at it from the other perspective, you are actually full of karma, right? You have a lot of personal karma. So if you remember, in the last video, I explained to you that your higher nature, what's your higher nature? That is your the body of spirit and the body of intuition, right? And I had explained that, intuitively you see everything around you. All these images appear all around you just because of your spirit body, the divine will from there, acting on the divine intuition. Now, look at it. You see, this function, even during the last many lives, has remained unchanged. This is your higher nature. Your spirit body and your intuitive body, or your higher nature, is free of thoughts, is free of feelings, it's free of physical activity. There is no karma there. So, if you were to live and act from your higher nature, then your karma has actually come to an end. You see, that is the laughable part of this. But it doesn't happen. It only happened with very few. Sage Ramana is there, of course I keep on naming him. Master Banisa Duno is there, I've named him as well. Lord Krishna was there, Lord Rama was there, and many others, but just a very few. So now let us look at the lower bodies, and my focus is on your feelings and on your estil body. Now, you see, the estil plane, which is the source of your feelings, is actually divided into 7 subplanes, and then each subplane is further divided into 7 subplanes. So if I say from 1 to 7 are the subplanes of the estil plane, so look, this 7 is a very interesting number, right? There are 7 days in a week. There are 7 colors in white light, and these 7 colors, there are these 7 sages, in different cultures and religions and so forth. So similarly, there are these 7 subplanes. Now, if you look at the first 3 subplanes, right? So I'll start from the highest, which is the first, and then the next highest, second, and then the next highest, which is the third. So these 3 subplanes of the estil plane, they are related to good feelings, right? So whenever you have got sublime feelings, good feelings, they never do any harm to you, do they? You can answer that question from yourself, from your daily experience. When there's a beggar, you give him $1, or you give him some Indian rupees, or dirhams, or whatever currency it may be. You feel happy, isn't it? It's a good action. You help someone, you work as a volunteer, you do something for your boss, you've done something beautiful. These are good actions, good feelings. They don't bring any harm to you or to anyone. But now look at this. You see, here is where the question is answered, that how does your destiny work? Because everyone, every human being, and reflect upon yourself, has their own unique destiny. You see, you are born at a certain place, your childhood was in a certain way, in a certain place, right? And then, when you grew up, even then you are doing your own things, and even now you are yourself following your own destiny. You don't follow the destiny of your wife or your child or your father, or let it be anyone, or even any great sage. You follow your own destiny, but how do you follow it? That's the question. Now, if you look at these three lower subplanes of the estil plane, which is the 5th, 6th and the 7th. So the 4th one is neutral. It's between the plane of good feelings and the plane of bad feelings. You know what they call hell. And you have heard about this negative energy, negative thoughts, you have heard about bad feelings and bad thoughts, right? Everyone has bad feelings, selfish feelings, bad thoughts. Where do they come from, right? So you see, there is a huge hierarchy in these three lower estil subplanes, which is the 5th, 6th and the 7th. That is where all your ghosts or black beings or the devils or whatever you may call it sit there, right? And what happens is, say, let me take an example, that there is fear in you of something. So you know what is happening actually in this hierarchy, in this estil subplanes, there is this great emperor or the king sitting there, right? And he looks after fear. So he says, oh, Mr. X or Mrs. Y or this young girl or that lady, suddenly there is something there's going to be fear in her, right? And then that hierarchy is working downwards, just like you have got a king, then below the king there is this government, there is the prime minister, below the prime minister there are the ministers, and then below the ministers there are the juniors, and then there is all this government, hierarchy of the government, and then there are these common simple people like you and me, who go into the elections and select this. So under this emperor, who is the equivalent, I'm just trying to explain to you, who looks after fear, there may be anger, there are many other examples. So what happens is that they feed down this chain of the hierarchy, which will consist of a emperor, and then there's the prime minister below it, and so on and so forth, until it comes down to what I call the soldiers on foot. And you know what these soldiers on foot are? These are nothing but impulses of feelings which are entering through the door of your mind. And they come in all the time. Just like we are human beings, we have to have breakfast, we have to have lunch, we have got to have dinner, right? We can't go without that. Say, if I tell you, go without these three for 1 year, you will say, oh, well, I'm mad, something is wrong with me. It's true, because the body needs, this solid food. It needs water, it needs drink, so that it can survive and have energy. Similarly, these negative impulses, coming from this, what you call hell, or the three sub-levels of that astral plane, 5th, 6th and the 7th, that is what they feed on. When this fear comes out from you, or when that anger comes out from you, or when that hatred comes out from you, or when that confusion comes out from you, whatever it may be, the essence that is produced, that is what I call as the soldiers on foot, they feed themselves on it. And look at it, look at it very carefully. Your astral body is tuned to these negative impulses, and you are the one who has been working with these soldiers on foot, these negative impulses, for many lives. And that's exactly what goes on right from morning till evening. Just look at your own self. Nobody can get into your astral body and look at as clearly and with great clarity as you do, these negative feelings which come into you. So if there is a method, and we will discuss about it, right, in the coming series of our talks, if you can get rid of these, and even when they come and go, they don't trouble you anymore, then look, good thoughts, good feelings, good actions, they are sublime, they are very sweet. They don't trouble you, they don't trouble anyone. Basically, you have entered into your higher nature, you have brought your entire karma to its end, and basically you are very close to the goal of what we call as unconditional happiness. So with that, I'll close this video on Can you end your karma? Now you think about it. Yes, you can. What is the way? We'll talk about it in another video. Thank you.